And now something completely different.
Good afternoon. I'm speaking to you live just outside
I like to think balding is just God's way of saying, now let's see you get laid.
Is it true that if you don't use it, you lose it?
What I'd really like to do is put the greatness of this man in perspective.
The hair loss community has a lot to be thankful for, having you as a spokesperson.
You mean you just call this guy up?
About life and about reality.
And now, America's #1 reality radio show for men. Live from Los Angeles, it's Spencer Kobren's The Bald Truth.
Hey guys, welcome to the show. 888-659-3727 is the toll-free number. Thank you. Wow, that was loud. Thank you so much for hanging out. We are obviously about 42 minutes late for the broadcast. And it's my bad.
It's like, what do you say to that?
Yeah, my bad. What am I going to do? You know.
Yeah.
Look, this is the Hair Loss Show. For anyone who's new to the broadcast, doesn't know who we are, who I am, I'm the founder of the American Hair Loss Association, the author of The Bald Truth and the Truth About Women's Hair Loss. Have been doing this broadcast for going on 22 years. Joe Tillman, the man on your left, is live from Vancouver, British Columbia. I'm in Los Angeles, and Joe is the original hair transplant mentor. He is a guy who's had now 10 hair transplants. He was fucked up initially, and, he lived to tell about it. He's a guy who has extensive repair surgery, a guy who kind of understands his industry in a way that very few really understand it. He knows where all the bodies are buried, as do I. And but what is unique about him compared to me is I haven't had surgery. Now, he could have been me, but he made the wrong fucking move, as many young guys do.
Story of many lives in this industry.
100%. And that's really the sad part of this field, whether it's surgical hair restoration, hair transplant surgery, whether it's non-surgical types of hair replacement, whatever it is, for the most part, you guys will be ripped off at least once. And if you're unlucky enough to have surgery by the wrong people at the wrong time, if you guys are not candidates for surgery, there's a very strong likelihood you will be disfigured. Now, some of that's repairable, but you will never be the same as you would have been if you had it done correctly the first time.
Absolutely.
Our phone number is toll-free, 888-659-3727. What are we talking about today, Joe?
We're going to be talking about fraud and, because there wasn't room for everything in the thumbnail and the title, fraud and misrepresentation in the hair transplant industry. And this is something that a lot of people talk about, but very few, actually no one does actually anything about. And, you and I have been, telling people about things that they should know, doing research and trying to exhaust all non-surgical options before diving into the surgical realm. But there's never been any sort of, and this is a big problem, there's never been a legitimate effort to thwart actual fraud and misrepresentation. There's some efforts out to dissuade people from going to cheap clinics because for some reason that equates to many as being lesser skilled, which is not true. There are efforts to dissuade people from hair transplant tourism, which I understand, but the problem is that the efforts are blaming the problems of the hair transplant industry on medical tourism. That for some reason, if you go to a hair transplant destination that's considered to be in the medical tourism realm, that is what's causing all the problems in the industry. And those two schools of thought are completely wrong. What's causing problems in this industry is straight up lying and fraud and blatant misrepresentation.
So you mean the status quo that has now just been scaled?
Yes, exactly. Yeah. I mean, this is something that's been going on since the beginning of the industry, obviously since the beginning of time. But in this industry itself, it started out that way. It's always started like, there's the reference of snake oil salesman, which was around for probably 150 years. But with hair transplant surgery, that's the way it started. And it has never changed. It's only gotten worse since the beginning.
What has changed, actually, is that the people who were doing it originally are now like, fuck, now there's so many people doing this.
Yeah.
So we better do something about that.
Yeah. I was going along a different path, but what you're talking about is exactly right. Yeah. And so this episode, I wish we had some technical difficulties earlier. I couldn't get some examples together, but you've all seen it. Any one of you watching this broadcast or watching the replay later, you've all seen the copy on different websites where clinics are talking about how their procedure is scarless, how you can shave your head however you want, however short you want, and there will be no scarring.
You can go back to work in a couple of days.
Scarring.
Go back to normal life.
Exactly. You'll look completely normal in just a couple of days. What else is there? There's guarantees, which are specifically designed to induce you into a sense of safety with a hair transplant surgery. It's my opinion that guarantees should be banned from medicine in general, because the only thing that can legitimately be guaranteed is a best effort. That's it. That's the best you've got going for you. And then probably the most visible form of fraud is the blatant theft of hair transplant before and after photos from one clinic to be used for another on their website. And that's a big deal. When you look at what's been going, like if you do a quick search, hair transplants, and then click the images tab in your Google search or Bing search or whatever, you'll see a lot of photos of hair transplants from all kinds of different clinics and blogs and things like this. And this is where these clinics are finding results to steal to put on their own websites. And it's a problem. I'm going to be talking about, I'll touch on it in today's episode, but I'll be talking about this subject in a future video where I'm going to actually show you how to find out if a photo is legit. And a lot of things coming down the pike that they'll be addressing this, but I think it's an important issue that no one's really thinking about.
Well, one of the things
pay attention to learn something.
Yeah, one of the things that I think is the biggest mistake, and I've tried to express this to those who are putting out certain campaigns, is the focus is just completely on the wrong ball. It's on the wrong stuff. Period. If you put the focus on exactly what you're talking about, which we're going to talk about more in the future, affecting change will be swift, significant, and you're really going to be empowering patients.
Yeah.
That's it.
I think it'll be a massive step.
Massive step. I mean, just stop talking about, what's happening in Turkey and what's happening in India and all these shitty clinics and doctors, for doing surgery or not doing surgery. That patients don't give a shit about that. That's the sad truth.
Yeah. It really is.
So you have to go, you have to embrace their stories. You have to embrace what's going on in their minds, why they're making the certain decisions. And if you don't focus on the decision-making process of the prospective patient and really understand what's part of that equation, then no matter what you do is going to be ineffective.
Yeah. Absolutely. It makes a lot of sense, because what you just talked about, it's the equivalent of pissing in a fan. Nothing's like, it's just doesn't work.
Yeah, what I've learned in my life is when you're looking for answers for anything, you have to know what the right question is to ask in order to get the right answer. And if you don't know what those questions are, and in this case, if you don't understand what the focus should be on, you're never going to get the answer or the result that you're looking for. The people who are working towards trying to solve this problem in the way that they don't know the right questions to ask, and they don't understand where to focus. That's the problem. It has nothing to do with incompetence necessarily, or it's just they're unable to get the blinders off and ask the right questions so that they could end up getting the right solution and answers. Does that make sense?
Yeah. It makes perfect sense.
Yeah.
100%. Absolutely.
And I want to make it clear for all the doctors who are listening to this that, look, I fuck around, I joke around a little bit about the pledge, whatever. But the reality is we are here to try to help patients navigate this fucked up industry. And for anyone who's really a good guy, what we do and the way in which we do it should really be embraced. Because what we can do as a team, in a team effort, could be massive. We could really affect change. It's not a competition. People have to understand, and they have to be able to take constructive criticism. Just because I am not a physician does not mean that, obviously, that my voice doesn't count, because it's people like myself and Joe who have changed this field for the better years ago.
Yeah.
Recreated the game. The game that you're in right now did not exist before The Bald Truth was published. That's just the reality of things. And we can do that again. But I think at this point, and I've learned this a long time ago, but I have to practice this and execute this. I have been trying to convince the politicians to move in a certain direction. And I only did that out of, I would say, and they don't see it this way, out of respect and out of the wantingness and willingness to kind of collaborate so that they can be involved in affecting this change. I kind of think it's been remiss of me to allow this stuff to go on for so long, solely in an effort to combine forces and work with these politicians of these organizations. And again, I did it because I wanted to give them the opportunity to be a part of things. But what we have to do this year in 2020, in the end of 2019, is I have to go with my gut. And your gut, Joe, which, you've been telling me I've been banging my head against the wall forever, and just move forward and affect the change. And, this is a real, what you're talking about today is a really important aspect of what's going to be happening. So I went on that rant. It's a little cryptic, but you can continue.
That's all right. Well, I'm just, like I said at the top of the broadcast, it's like this is something that's been going on forever, and I've talked about it off and on forever, but there seems to be, like you're saying, it's like the questions being asked aren't the right questions being asked, and I think that one way to really empower patients is to help them spot the easy frauds, like the before and after images, like the misleading copy on websites. And for those that don't understand what I mean by copy, I mean the text, the words that are on the website, what they're telling you, the claims of scarless surgeries, the claims of back to work in just a couple of days with zero indications of surgery, the guarantees of 100% growth or certain percentages of growth. All of these things that are easy to pick out. I'm going to take a more proactive stance in trying to educate people about this, because I think that once these simple things are better understood, then it'll be a lot easier for people to pick out the good guys from the bad guys.
100%.
And I'm actually kind of jazzed up about this. A lot of projects going on, got a lot of coals in the fire that are moving forward. But this is something that once all the pieces are in place, the world is going to know more about it.
Yeah,
and I'm excited.
2020 is going to be the true year of change for the consumer in this field. And, do I want, the ISHRS and everyone else who's involved to be part of what's about to go down? 100%. That door is open. And they have to understand that this is not a competition. It's just something needs to get done. And somebody has to fucking take the reins and make it happen. The number of complaints that I'm receiving through the American Hair Loss Association and the IHRS and the Bald Truth have essentially quadrupled in a little more than 15 months, just about 15 and a half months. This last year, I would say from the last meeting to the current meeting that's happening in Bangkok right now, the so-called black market has grown exponentially. Like it's unfathomable to take a look at how many clinics have opened up in the so-called black market territories. How many people are now buying, but this year alone, bought turnkey devices here in the U.S.
Yeah.
It's fucking insane. So, you know what? No more fun and games, Something has to be done. We got callers on the line, 888-659-3727. I think, anyone who's listening who's been harmed so far, really harmed by the industry or misled in a way that, whether they went to a physician, didn't realize that the physician had no real credentials. Went to someone's website and made a decision based on images that weren't even the doctor's images. Call in.
Yeah, we'd love to hear from you.
We definitely love to hear
your
from
story.
But obviously, we'll take your calls about anything and everything hair loss. So we're going to take some phone calls now, unless you wanted to say something before we take a call.
No, that's fine. Let's go.
All right. Hey, man, you're on the air. Who's this and where are you calling from?
Hey, Spencer. Hey, Joe. It's Rick from Virginia. Can you hear me?
Rick from Virginia, yes. How are you, man?
Hello, Rick.
Doing great. So not harmed by the industry, thankfully. So I got kind of a softball question for you guys.
No, cool. I'm glad that you weren't harmed by the industry, man, because let me tell you something. There's some fucking walking wounded. There are people today, right now, Friday, they went in and they had a hair transplant. They saved their money. They took time off of work, and they're like, I'm going to do something good for myself. And they've essentially had their lives destroyed, and they don't even know it yet. That's how fucked up this place is.
You guys got to get the message out. They got to find you guys, man.
Yeah, well, we're going to be doing a lot more than just getting our message out, our personal message. So a lot of great things were happening this year. I'm excited about it. So what's your question?
Right on. So I've got a finasteride kind of like dosing question, or I wanted to get your guys non-medical, but in my opinion, kind of sort of expert advice on it. So I've been taking finasteride for about 15 months now. The first 3 months I did generic, and then I switched over to ProScar. So I've been quartering it pretty much for about a year or so. Great results. No loss. And then really, I think, starting to strengthen up kind of like the hairline and the crown area where I had a little bit of loss. And I would say mild side effects, other than the first 2 weeks where I kind of felt like I got kicked in the balls for a little bit there.
Mm-hmm.
But my libido's been kind of, it fluctuates, which it hadn't ever done before. Not to the point at all. Obviously, I've been staying on the drugs, so not to the point where like I can't have sex or can't get erection or anything like that. But definitely something different. So it's kind of like periods where it's high and then periods where it's low. And so
essentially, just so people are clear, you're talking about your drive to have sex, your libido.
Yeah, just the drive.
Yeah.
Just the drive. When the drive is there's no issues with again with like ED or
right.
Not getting erection or anything like that. But there are points when also where it's low, where it hadn't been before, or even other points where it's higher than usual. And I've kind of noticed that, in the last year or so since I've been on the drug. So, I mean, at the end of the day, if there's nothing I could do with the dosing and it had to be like this, it's well worth it for me. I just, I'm in my mid-40s. I've got a bunch of kids. I'm married, so it's not like I'm, having sex like a bunny rabbit anyway. But
you're married, dude.
Yeah, right, exactly. So we're scheduling it when we can get it in anyway.
Yeah.
So, but my thoughts were, if I'm doing about 1.25 milligrams thereabouts when I quarter it a day, I wanted to get your guys' thoughts on maybe just lowering it a little bit to still get the positive effects and maybe see if it does anything over time with libido on obviously I can't cut it down anymore, but maybe like on the number of days I take it. What do you guys think about that?
Joe?
Well, I think that I don't know. I mean, we're not doctors, but I've talked to a lot of patients over the years that have been trying to find a balance on their intake, dosage, and or frequency. And what I usually recommend to people is, based on the frequency of intake that they're at today, reduce it, not the dosage, but the frequency, and stick to that frequency for a month to see how that works out. What I usually tell people that are scared of any side effects moving forward without having ever tried it, or they tried it and then got off of it, I tell them to start, like in your case, you're taking Proscar quarter tab.
Right.
To instead of, are you taking it daily or every other day?
Yeah, daily. I was thinking maybe just doing 5 days a week instead of 7 and see if that does anything.
Okay. So what I would normally tell someone that's just starting out is to take a quarter tablet Monday every week, just once a week for a month. And then the second month, take it twice a week, Monday, Thursday, and try that for a month. The third month, bump it up to Monday, Wednesday, Friday. And at that point, start to, judge how things are working out. I think that in that manner, you can find a balance. You find that threshold to where you don't really feel like it's affecting you negatively, but you can live with it. Then that's where you want to hold, or even push through and maybe stick with it. And a lot of times, most times, the side effects will dissipate within a few weeks. Now, you're in a different situation. You've already been taking it for how long?
15 months.
Yeah. So if you're taking it every day, then maybe 5 days a week would work. I seem to feel like maybe an every other day type of thing would be better, only because you're still dosing up for 5 days straight and then giving yourself 2 days off. I think that if you space it out more, it might be a more effective, just in my opinion. Logically, I would think that'd be a more effective distribution because it's more even. You're not suddenly dropping off at the end of 5 days. So do it literally every other day, to where you can't say Monday, Wednesday, Friday, but say Monday, Wednesday, Friday, Sunday, Tuesday, Thursday, Saturday, and so on, and try that.
Okay. Yeah, that makes sense. That makes sense. I was thinking maybe Sunday, Monday, not Tuesday, and then Wednesday, Thursday, but every other day. Probably, I guess, just easy enough. I just got to remember which day I'm on or whatever from those things.
The great thing is, I mean, you got a smartphone, so you can just tell your smartphone, remind me every other day. I don't know which one you've got, but you can set it, literally every other day to remind you.
Okay.
Yeah, and then if that doesn't work out, try it for a month. If that doesn't work out, then try backing it down to Monday, Wednesday, Friday, and see how that works out.
Okay. What I don't want to do is back it down too much to where I get a shed or something crazy, or because, like I said, at the end of the day, I'm okay with it. But if there was a way to tweak it a bit, just so that the libido thing would level out, then that's what I'd want to do.
No, I totally get it.
Let me ask you a question. I mean, was the libido issue something that occurred throughout your entire, the entire time you've been using the drug, or did it start recently, or?
No, so yeah, it's been, I would say it's just about the entire, maybe about a month or so into it, I noticed a slight dip let's say in my libido, sex drive, whatever you want to call it. Wasn't super alarmed by it. It wasn't like it flattened or anything, but it just seemed whatever interest level, what have you along those lines. But like I know sides can kind of come and go, and I wasn't on it for that long, so I decided to push through it. And then it came back as kind of a non-issue, and it was kind of fine for about a month or so. And then there was kind of like a dip again for a little bit, and then same thing. And I've noticed it maybe 3 or 4 dips in 15 months, and then maybe 2 or 3 about the same amount of time where it's actually been heightened for about a week or so, like more than normal. And outside of the first 43 years, I would say 43, but outside of being on it, it's never really fluctuated noticeably to me like it has now. And like I said, not the end of the world because it always kind of gets back regular for a little while. But
here's the thing. You've been on the drug for a while. Your body, I was on it for a very long time, taking it daily, and then I cut back to just taking 1 5-milligram dosage once a week because I'm a believer in intermittent therapy. I believe that your body, even though this has a relatively short half-life, your DHT levels really don't go back to normal until or really don't start to go back to normal until about two weeks or so after the drug is completely out of your system. So I've had success that way. However, anytime you make a change, it's possible. It's possible. I'm not saying it's going to happen, but it's possible that you can lose some of your results. So you just have to kind of be aware of that. I think Joe's approach is smart. I think you're essentially you've been keeping in your body the way that you've kept in your body for a long time. But I also think that you just have to be aware of just kind of what's going on with your body. If you're 100% sure that it's the drug that's causing it, then I think experimenting can make sense, and you probably even, I would say, even missing 1 dose a week might change things for you. I don't know what you think about that, Joe.
What was the last part?
That it's even possible if you choose just to miss 1 dose a week, he can notice a change.
Yeah, well, I was actually going to say that, but more in relation to the shed that he mentioned. He's afraid of inducing if he goes too extreme with this. Any changes you make, even 1 day less to your regimen, can potentially kick in a shed. Never ever forget that. Adding something new to your regimen, like if you're taking finasteride and then you decide to add laser or minoxidil or a PRP treatment or whatever, anything that can affect your growth cycle can help to induce a shed. That is a fact. Doesn't mean it's going to happen, but if it does happen, it's not. There's not like a surprising reason for it. You're always risking that with any sort of change to your routine.
Okay, and I never really got a shed when I started, so I'm hoping as I tweak it here or there, it would kind of level out like it did when I got on it. So I never really got anything that I would call a shed, but it did, like I said, reinforce well, and I did get good strengthening. So all right, okay. Yeah, I think I feel good. I appreciate the thoughts and the advice on that. Thanks, guys.
All right, man. Listen, good luck. Yeah. All right, take care.
All right. You guys have a
good call. Bye-bye. Phone number 888-659-3727. That's 888-659-3727. We are live taking your calls. I should put the camera on me. And
if you want.
Yeah, whatever. If you have any questions or concerns about your hair loss, this is we consider it your safe place to get all the information that you need. If you're considering surgery, God, guys, please do your fucking homework, man. It is so fucking bad out there. It is worse than it's ever been. All lines are open. So, listen, we're live. And if we don't get any calls, we are going home. That's how I feel about it.
To the next room.
The next room. 100%.
Yeah.
I fucking rush back. Fucking...
he rushed back for you people.
I like a fucking
seriously.
Crazy, driving like a maniac.
There were reports in the Los Angeles area of a madman driving through traffic.
Weaving in and out. And and I got here, and I was like a couple of minutes late. Well, I mean, we had to set the show to 2:30, but so
Yeah.
I didn't have to do that. I really didn't. I could have stayed where I was staying and continued to do what I was doing, but no, I came back to do the fucking show for you guys. You know?
And yes, this is a guilt trip.
It absolutely is. And you know what?
Get with it, people.
The phone line just lit up.
Good.
I'll give out the phone number again because there's one open line, 888-659-3727. Give us a call here, and let's talk about whatever issues you have with hair loss, man. That's what we're here for. Hey, man, you're on the air. Who's this, and where are you calling from?
It's Morty from South Florida.
Morty, what's happening, man?
I knew it would be
Not
you.
much, man. Well,
Right on, buddy.
you threaten, and so I have to answer. I can't let you guys go. You gotta work for us, man. You know.
Listen, that's what we're doing, and Joe and I actually. It's funny because I try not to talk to Joe unless we're doing the show. But
Likewise.
yeah, but we had a really interesting conversation yesterday that I think is going to really make a lot of difference this year. And we have to be cryptic about things, but it's exciting. It's fucking exciting.
Yeah, okay.
It really is.
And I think that all of you guys who've been listening to the show, all of you guys who've been fans and watching things progress and seeing Joe's channel grow, this is going to be a complete game changer as far as patient safety.
Mm.
You don't even know what to say to that because I can't give you any insight. You still don't know what the fuck I had taken off my fucking face, and I know you want to know that.
Yeah. I'm trying not to go off topic too much. I mean, first of all, I'm very grateful for you guys because Lord knows I could have gotten easily taken in by a lot of the fraud that's out there. For example, there's this one gentleman in New York City who's got a ton of YouTube videos talking about the use of ACell and PRP, and I learned from you guys that he overcharges insanely for what he does, and further I learned who to go to get the right PRP, and at the end of the day realized that it probably wasn't worth doing, but at least I didn't spend thousands of dollars to find it out, and for that I thank you guys.
You're fucking welcome.
So,
Absolutely.
Yeah, so, yeah, absolutely. So anyone who's listening, listen to these guys. If they tell you to go in a given direction, do it, because it will save you a lot of headache, it will save you a lot of pain, and it'll save you a lot of cash. So, I mean, that's pretty much all I could really say about that. The main reason I called was just to keep you guys online. I really don't have too much to say about fraud because I'm blessed to have not been the victim of it.
Well, and listen, that's exactly what we do, and that's what we're here for. That's what we've been doing, and I've been doing for over 22 years. Joe's been doing it for a long fucking time. I don't even know how many years. And, sadly, there's kind of two thoughts in the industry. Initially, when I came out, I was a hated man. Hated man. I mean, I was in the fucking crosshairs of every physician in this field, from not just the doctors, but the so-called trichologists, just exposing the industry for what it fucking was. And then once some guys realized, but wait a second, he's putting us in his book because there are at the time 11 decent hair transplant doctors doing it correctly, which is sad. It's fucking pathetic, actually. But then all of a sudden I made all these friends, people who wanted to be a part of what we do. People who wanted to do things right. But still, I was always on like the periphery or on the fringe in their eyes of the industry. I was like almost like they had to work with us and had to improve things, but it was essentially like it was a necessary evil to make those changes in order for them to survive. Most of these guys did not want to change, but they figured, shit, if I do change and change the infrastructure of my practice, I'm going to be able to separate myself from these other fucking hacks. I don't have to be a hack anymore. I can do it right, and I'll spend the money to make that happen. We were able to accomplish that. Now, 20 years later, almost 20 years later, shit's fucking hit the fan, and guess who's public enemy number one again? Me.
Yeah.
And so trying to do what we do.
I'm a fast rising two.
You are number two at this point. I would say that Specs was number 2 for a while because of his article, but I think that you may have surpassed him.
He definitely leapfrogged me at one point.
Yeah.
That was,
yeah.
I credit where credit's due, man. If you really want to piss off people,
you make a top 20 list.
Make a top 20 list. That was just, I still laugh about that.
And the reality is, the Bald Truth had the first recommended doctor list in the history of physician in medicine. And everyone, I just remember doctors contacting me, and thanks for holding on, by the way, and listening, contacting me, telling me that I've rewritten the history of hair transplantation. How can you leave me and my father out of this book? How can you this? How can you that? Well, motherfuckers, if you would have picked up the phone when I called you, this is actually Douse Dow, picked up the phone when I called you when I was researching the book, you may have been in it. But, no one really had the balls to talk about the reality of this industry, and that's what I wanted, except for a couple of guys. And I give them a tremendous amount of credit for picking up that phone and allowing me to get the information I needed. So, Morty, you're right. You've been saved, and you're very fortunate to have found this program. But I still notice that you're a little skeptical sometimes, and I appreciate that. You should be of everything.
Again, I mean, look, I'm still not the way I want to be in terms of the way my hair looks. So I'm still out there looking. I've left messages to Joe. I'm hopefully going to see Dr. Epstein within the next week or two. Looking forward to talking with him face to face. I'm going to fork out a fee for it, which is perfectly acceptable as far as I'm concerned. And I'm probably going to make a decision to do something other than, drug treatments and laser helmets. I'm pretty certain that I'm going to, although I still have my fears about it with good reason. Everybody should basically be very, very cautious about, getting under the knife, because that's what you're doing, and be completely honest with yourself about what could happen, even with the best doctors that are out there. You could end up, as Spencer likes to say, fucked up.
Yeah.
You got to make sure that you're okay with that before you go under the knife, even if the guy that you're dealing with is a genius, a pioneer, according to Joe and his list. There can still be problems, and that's one of the reasons I'm taking my time about it and making sure that I'm okay with it. So,
well, listen.
Anyway,
I'm glad. It's always good to hear from you, and I appreciate the call, especially when we're not getting any calls and we're about to get off the air. You're willing to fucking pick up that phone and keep things going.
Well, I'm always willing to pick up the phone. And one other thing that I wanted to mention, I did notice on WebMD quotes from the American Hair Loss Association. So kudos to you, Spence, on that one.
Thank you.
And
cool. What were you looking up?
Yeah, guess.
Hair transplant.
Yeah, of course.
There's a great article that was provided that's on there from the American Hair Loss Association, basically essentially saying what to look for in a surgeon, in a hair transplant surgeon. Read that.
I think that was the one I was reading.
Yeah, because that shit is written in stone now.
Oh, that's cool.
So
yeah, it's a good source. I'm friends with the former CTO of WebMD, and I know it's a really solid organization. They were literally across the street in downtown Manhattan.
Do you know other people in it who were involved?
Well, like I said, I know I think he's the former CTO at this point. I think he may still be listed as the CTO. He's a personal friend of mine.
Wow. Well, you know what? Maybe we'll talk.
So.
Maybe we'll talk about that at some point.
You got it, my friend.
Because I can tell you what, they could definitely use some really good video content.
Yeah, I don't know how much influence he has at this point, but I'll pass the name on to you if you want.
Sure, absolutely, man. Listen, thanks a lot. You take care.
All right, take it easy.
I
guys.
appreciate it, man. Bye-bye.
Good hearing from you, buddy.
Bye.
Bye.
That's good to know. I mean, obviously they do they do license content and use the American Hair Loss Association as a resource, which is great. Fucking powerful. And it's great to be able to get legitimate information out there to the real world through a mainstream resource.
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay, let's take
it's
a phone call.
Powerful resource. Let's do it.
All right. Hey, you're on the air. Who's this and where are you calling from?
Guys, it's Dante.
Dante, what's happening, man?
Dante, long time, man.
Boy, I know. I haven't
Good.
called
How
for
are
a
you?
little while. I'm doing fine, thanks. You know, everything's okay. I thought, so, you know, in a little bit, last time I called, we were talking about, you know, I was considering, like, beard transplant, right, to my head, from my beard.
Yeah.
Yep.
So I contacted the doctor in, I guess it's Redondo Beach, right? Supposed to be one of the specialists in that. So we're going back and forth. I sent him some pictures, and I sent some more pictures, and took like about a week and a half each time I emailed something for him to get back to me. And I imagine he was getting back to me. I don't know that it was the staff. I mean, there's no way to, I don't know, there's really no way to tell, you know. So what I did was...
Well, there is, by simply asking, am I speaking to the doctor or am I speaking to one of his assistants?
Yeah, I didn't ask.
Okay.
And I'll tell you why. So,
okay. We're staging for the next phase. Okay.
Yeah, so what happened was, when I have the little piece, so when I went there, I had them take pictures of my head with it off, right? Because I don't, I keep it on for a couple of weeks, and then I go to get it, changed down and stuff. So I had them take the pictures. I sent the pictures with no hair, just my hair. And, like I always said, my crown is pretty much shot. And I think, the hairpiece is killing whatever hair I had in the crown because the glue and everything like that.
Mm-hmm.
And just, I guess, having something on my head is probably just killing all that hair. So I'm looking at it and go, holy God, I have less hair than I even thought. But I think that's what's happening. So he gets back to me and he says that he can fix me, but it's, what do you say here? It's like 6,000 beard graft 6,000 hairs, head hair 1,000, and body, chest, blah, 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 2,000. So it's like 9,000 grafts. And then he puts the price in, 7,000 from the beard. I'm sorry, $7 per graft from the beard, $9 per graft below the neck. So I'm looking at it's like, $60,000, right? So that's why I didn't. After I saw that, that's why.
Is this the guy in California?
Yeah.
Okay.
You know who it is.
Yeah.
Okay. So, so then I looked at that and I got back to him and I said, well, I still would wear this partial piece because I sent him the pictures with the piece, without the piece, and then he came back to me and he said, okay, so I can do 2,000 to 2,500 grafts from the beard and 1,000 from the chest. So he said $3,000 to $3,500 he recommends, and then let me know if my staff would like to assist you. Then I asked him some questions, which I pretty much knew the answers to anyway. So here's what I said, and I said, give me an idea of the percentage of grafts that should survive and grow using beard hair. And I know there's really no answer to that, but he said typically greater than 80%, right? And then I said, as the procedure is expensive, are you able to tell from the pictures, the quality of my beard hair and somewhat, my chance of a somewhat successful surgery, And he says, using beard grafts, my recommendation is based upon my review of your photos and qualifying that they are usable for my purposes. And then I said it would definitely be FUE, right? And he said yes. And I said, would it make more sense if I came to California for a personal consultation? And he said, yes, it will, but that is not necessary. And then I said, well, I sent my chest, pictures of my chest, and he said, I've examined the photos of your chest, and I can tell the chest hair quality is good, and I can work with that. So then, I got him down to like 3,500 grafts, which is still probably 25,000.
Right.
And I've seen pictures, and his work looks good, and he has a good reputation. The other thing that scares me is that there's really no recent videos, on his website. They go back to like 16 and 17, and so I kind of just backed off. And
well, part of that could also be, I mean, if these guys are really busy and they're not trying to put out, you have to understand anybody that puts out anything on any video, anything on YouTube, it's all marketing their practice. Even if it's really educational, even if it's, mind-blowingly, cutting edge stuff, it's because they're marketing themselves. That's what everyone does. So it's possible that, maybe he has a staff change. It just hasn't been their focus to put new videos out there. So that doesn't necessarily take away from the quality of anybody's work, whether they have a lot of videos or they don't have enough videos or they don't have any updated videos. What you have to do is focus on what you've seen. And also, is it worth it to you to fly out to California, spend $25,000 on a procedure that may have an 80% or 90%, possibility of getting full growth? And will you be satisfied, even if 100% of the grafts grow? Will you be satisfied with that result, or will you still be, wearing your hairpiece and, kind of dissatisfied?
Yeah, I think I from what I've seen, and still wearing the little piece, I would still have to wear it because I'll probably just go back to the crown, and that would be the end of it. And then there's nothing going down. Like I always say, I have a low fringe. But what gets me is that I'm not rich, but I could afford it. But then I think this way, and I know Spence, you don't have kids, and Joe, you don't either, right?
No.
Yeah. So I think about it like I could go spend this money, and then like the kids would be like, Dad, you spend all that money on that, and then you think, well, they may need this, or they may need, $2,000 to help them do that, and that's the part that I have trouble reconciling. Yeah, $50,000, I wouldn't do it, but if he says, all right, I think I could do it for 3,000 to 3,500 grafts at $7 or whatever, 25,000, that's a lot of money, but I can do it. But then when I think about, what else can you do with the money instead? And that's the part that holds me back,
Well, but if that's even a consideration, if it's not like, okay, I have this disposable income that won't affect my life in any way if my kid does need something, I'll still be able to make sure, I'll have much more money to take care of my kids, then it's fine. If you have the money to play with, then that's not a consideration. But if it's the slightest consideration, then, especially, at your point in life, meaning you're old. I'm just kidding. At your point in life, is
no, but you're right. Yeah, you're right.
Is it what's the real value to you? Is it more valuable in your mind to be able to take care of your kids in a way that that you feel comfortable? That's not going to strap you because you decided to have 3,000 grafts transplanted to your head, which may not make that much of a difference in your life.
Yeah. No, you're right. So that's the part that. That I'm not sure about.
And how much is it? You have the value. When you look at the values, how much is it going to really improve your life? And then if you don't have the money to take care of what you need to take care of with your kids, how is that going to detract from your life? How is that going to affect you negatively?
Yeah, well, it's just the thought that like people, people like that are less fortunate than I am. I mean, I work my ass off, so I don't really, whatever I have, I worked for it.
Sure.
And the new generation is a little different. They want to work 7 hours a day, and then they're happy with that. So unless you change that, you're really not going to get anywhere. But I don't know. You just look at yourself and you say, well, I did this for myself, but I could spend this money on myself. But then if somebody needs something, like they think, oh, this guy can spend that much money. I don't know. But that's the tough part. But
Dante, let me ask you this. Let me ask you something. What would you do? How would you feel, I guess? How would you feel if someone came up and said, you can't go through with this. We're freezing your accounts to where that much money can't be removed so that you can't have this procedure. How would you feel? Aside from the fact that someone has the power to lock down your account. But if for some reason, we'll just say, you couldn't go and have this procedure done, how would you feel?
How would I feel?
Yeah, would it really impact you? Like, would you be down about it? Would you be like, shit, I was really looking forward to this? Or would it be kind of like, all right, that's fine, moving on?
Yeah. Right now, I'm not looking forward to it because I don't know. I don't feel like really right now spending the money, and I don't know. I'm kind of getting used to my hair being the way it is right now. I'm getting used to having less hair than I had, even 7-8 years ago. Which I do.
Dante?
And I think it's just my age that my hair's just falling out a little.
Dante,
bit,
you are not in a position to get a hair transplant. You should forget about it.
Well, I have, and I think you're right. And I have forgotten about it for a while, and I haven't really followed up, with it. So,
yeah.
I mean, I like to have more hair just on the top middle of my head, but I'm starting to get used to it.
Well, that's the thing. It's like if each situation is different. But when it's a situation like yours where it's, $25,000 for anything is a lot unless it's a house. But you're looking at something that, like, you've already presented some objections to this on your own. So I think that this is more of a confirmation of your existing feelings rather than our opinions on what you should do. You got other things to spend this money on, like things that you don't need, like you could have fun with, like go on a cruise around the world, or invest it in something, or put it into some sort of fund for your kids, or something that would be more useful.
No, you're right. I could, I can do that, and I have pretty much the whole thing on hold right now. See, the thing that I feel, if I did go through with it, I've had 7 strips, right? And I know, and obviously you guys are always talking about the shock loss effect, and if that ever happened to me, I don't know if I would, if I did go through a procedure like this, and I did have shock loss, and it was a major disaster, I could possibly jump off of a building, but absent that, just the fact that it's going to be an FUE, which I've never had, to me that sounds like, wow, this would be pretty, from the recovery and the surgery itself, I would think it would be pretty easy compared to what I've been through, right? Because you've done the same thing, Joe, right? I mean,
my recent FUE, the recovery was great. What's not so great, it's not a big deal, but you get more, like when you have strip, you might have 1 or 2 ingrown hairs along the incision line. But with FUE, you'll have several ingrown hairs throughout, and they're persistent. They don't just go away. It takes time for them to go away. I'm still experiencing them, and I only had like 700 grafts taken out. So people that are getting 3,000 grafts, 3,500 grafts with FUE, I can only imagine it's worse. It's not, and don't misunderstand. It's not a big deal. But it's a long drawn out process. Like here we are, over 4 months later, and I'm still having the issue. They're not affecting me right now. I don't think I got any right now, but I did up until last week, and I'm sure I'll get more because they keep returning. But the difference is pretty nice. I don't have the tension in the donor area. I don't have the itchiness along the incision line. You still get the itchiness. But that's just a natural part of healing. If you had itchiness along your incision line during the initial healing of your strips, you have the same thing with FUE. The big difference. The pain difference really, there really isn't one. Maybe a little bit, but like the incision line of a properly taken strip, once it's healing up, you don't really feel any sort of persistent issues. It might be sore to the touch for the first few days, but so is an FUE donor area. The healing is easier because it's faster, and you have less restrictions on your mobility, and you don't feel it as far as like the tension and the staples or the sutures.
Yeah, well, that's the big thing, the staples, like trying to sleep with the staples. And then, I remember one of the last 2 times that I had this trip, I went there, was like 10 or 12 days in, and he started to take the staples out, and I was like, oh, God, I was nauseous. And he stopped. He said, you're not ready yet. And I had to come back another 3-4 days later, So just having those staples in your head is like...
You know what? You're right. I forgot about that. The staples coming out especially when they're latched onto a hair. Yeah, that's bad. Yeah. that's a bit of a pain in the ass. But aside from that, it's pretty simple.
Yes, I figured in a few weeks. I mean, the ingrown hairs could be annoying, especially if they're under your chin, right? That might be worse than in the back of your head.
Could be, yeah.
Don't have a hair transplant, dude.
But yeah, ultimately, don't have a hair transplant.
Yeah, well,
you're good. Move on.
The purpose of my call was just to really say hello because I haven't checked in for a while. Also, to let you know how that process went, and the cost. That many grafts and the cost. So it really got expensive.
Yeah, well, I mean, this guy, he charges a lot, and he does large cases, and I would probably say that the smaller cases that you're discussing is probably a little below his average. People spend a lot of money. I've known guys who spent $100,000 in a couple of days sitting. So
really?
Yeah.
Well, I know one guy that spent $135,000 on the same surgery over the course of 3 weeks.
130?
Yeah, it was such a large surgery that he's having. He was actually in the chair. Wait, was it 3 weeks? No, it was 1 week. Sorry, but it was 1 week, every day, back to back, getting hit with needles, tumescence, and thousands upon thousands of extractions.
Have you seen the guy? I mean, is he far enough out that you can tell how this worked out for him?
Oh, this was 10 years ago.
Yeah. I don't know. I think that particular guy maybe didn't work out for, if I remember correctly.
No, it didn't.
Yeah. But listen, Dante, we're going to take another call. Thank you for checking in. It's always good to hear from you, man.
All right, guys. Thanks. So one quick question: is there no more Tuesday show?
Yeah, we're just doing Fridays.
No. Okay. All right. Good.
All right, man. You take care.
All right. Well, good talking to you guys.
You
Thanks.
too. Bye-bye.
Take care.
Hey, buddy.
Bye.
Let's take this call.
Okay.
Hey, you're on the air. Who's this, and where are you calling from?
Hi, it's Tim from Germany.
Oh, hey, man. How are you?
Hello.
I'm fine. It's been a couple of months since I called last time.
I love having German callers.
Yeah.
There's a couple of people that don't believe that that Germans are interested in the bald truth.
Yeah, after the last call, I had. I think I gave my Instagram to the listeners, so they could see my hairpiece. And one German guy wrote me, and we had a little conversation and we talked about our hair loss, and it was a really cool experience.
Oh, good. That's very generous of you, by the way. Yeah.
Yeah, very, very generous.
Sorry?
Very generous of you to give out your Instagram like that.
Yeah, just so people can see that you can live with it.
Yeah, absolutely. So you are a guy who lives with a hairpiece, and how old are you?
I'm 31.
Yeah, and you're a young guy.
Yeah, and I'm on propecia now, 10 months, and I just upped my dose after 8 months from 0.5 milligram to 0.75. And I don't know if you got an email or something. I could give you some pictures, and you could put it on the screen if people are interested to see the results.
Well, I mean, you could always send it to Joe's email address, and you probably won't be able to do it until next week, but sure.
Yeah, we can't get them up right now.
Okay. So, is your email public for that?
Yes, it is admin, ADMIN, at hairtransplantmentor.com.
ADMIN at hairtransplantmentor.com?
Yes.
Okay. Yeah, I could do that. Maybe you could take a look at it, make it to the show, and see that there's progress. I think there's a little progress.
Yep.
And I think 0.75 milligram leaves a little bit open to adjust still.
Okay.
So maybe I could go higher. There are no adverse side effects.
Well, and how many months now?
10. And I upped my dose at 8 months. And I had, again, a little initial kicked in the balls feeling, like 2 weeks or so. But no other adverse side effects, even with a higher dosage.
Okay. That's good. So this is when you upped your dosage.
Sorry?
That's what happened after you increased your dosage?
Yeah, so when I first started out, there was like 3 weeks testicle pain, and then there was no adverse side effect whatsoever. And after I upped my dose, it was a little bit again, like my body had to adjust or something.
Yeah. Okay.
Well, listen,
So
man.
I wonder.
Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah.
What was your question?
Sorry.
You wonder what?
Yeah. I wonder. Maybe after 6 or 8 months, should I up my dose again? Is this like, should I see how much can I take in before side effects come?
Well,
or should I stay on this and
how much are you taking right now again?
0.75.
Yeah, I mean, listen, you seem to be doing well on it, and again, we're not physicians. If you notice positive results, then you don't necessarily have to screw with it. And if you're not having any side effects right now, if you don't think you're getting the results that you want, sometimes more isn't necessarily better. I do believe it's dose dependent, but on the person, obviously. But in your body, you may not need more. So that's going to be completely up to you. But you do have room, obviously, as far as, I guess it's called titrating. Trying to find the right dose. Where it's effective and not having any adverse side effects. So you do have some more room for sure to work with as far as getting up to the 1 milligram dose that's normally prescribed. But it doesn't necessarily mean you have to do it. So just kind of see how you do. If you feel like you're doing well, then there's nothing you don't need to fuck with it.
So is there any time when you up the dosage, like a phase where you get a little shedding, or is it more? It will only improve if the higher dosage is better for you, if it works, or will there always be like shedding or something?
There's always a chance of shedding anytime you either change your medication or change your dosage of medication. It's always a possibility. So if you're doing well, my advice is always stick to what you're doing well with, and then you always have room to talk to your doctor about this to up your dosage if you think that things are sliding and you're not doing as well.
Yeah, for me it's really really nice that I got still my my hair systems, so I only look at my results or my progress with Patricia like every 4 weeks or so, and then I take some pictures so I can compare them.
Yeah, it's actually that's kind of a blessing in disguise, because you're not obsessing about it and you're not looking at, basically essentially like watching grass grow and looking at it every day in the mirror. You are, every time you remove your system, you get a chance to check it out. So that's pretty cool.
Yeah. That is pretty cool. I don't know if you remember, but I'm not too happy with my hair systems, but it's fine for now. And I still got like hair systems to last me for another 9 months or so. And I think that's the point where I will the first time in my life will start to neither do anything like. First, I took minoxidil, and then I took hair fibers, and then I got the hair systems, and I might try like next year in summer or so, where I maybe could get a 10 to just buzz it off, and maybe see where Propecia got me. So that's the master plan for now.
Well, listen, man, we wish you a lot of luck. Go ahead.
Let me ask him a question, Tim. I just got your photos. They just came through, and
yeah,
this difference that you're showing Left picture is 6 months.
You're freezing up a little, Joe. I can hear you though.
Oh yeah, yeah. There we go. It's a little choppy. Right picture is 8 months. You're just this small difference in your dosage in such a short time. There's a definite improvement. This is visibly obvious. So congratulations.
Very good, because when I look at it, I see like a little improvement, but I think always, maybe on the right picture the hair is like 1 or 2 days longer, and maybe the lighting was different, but you can confirm it. There's improvement, is there?
I will say that this looks like a 50% increase in density at least. At least.
Wow.
So whatever you're doing, just don't stop. Stick with the program. Stay the course.
Stay the course. Stay with the dosage and see where it gets me. Maybe up it a little. If it doesn't work out, go back to 0.75 gram. So that's the master plan.
Well, listen, man. We're really glad that. Hold on, let me see. I'll take a look, and then we'll take one more call and call it a day.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
For sure, man. I'm taking a look. That is pretty significant.
Feel free to put it on the screen at any time you want. Let people see it. Let the caller see it.
I'll do it right now. Actually, hold on. I'll do it right now because I can do it on my phone.
Yeah, there's no doubt that there's more hair growth. I mean, it's significant.
So I'm trying to.
Well, guys, thank you for the feedback. It really means something.
All right, man. Well, you got it.
Absolutely.
We'll put your stuff on the screen now, but we're going to take another call. All right? You take care. Okay. Be well.
Thank you, guys.
Okay. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Phone number is 888-659-3727. We can take it. We're going to take one more call.
Okay. Before we do, let me just show everyone at home what we're looking at. This is the colors before and after. I don't even have to tell you which is before and which is after, and that's only after 2 months, and only with a 50% increase in his dosage from 0.5 milligram to 0.75 milligram. That's amazing.
Yeah. I mean, and while it doesn't seem, a lot of guys are being like, well, it doesn't seem that significant because it's really just growing in a one particular area. It's pretty significant. I mean, hair grown out.
That's the hairline. That's
right.
The front.
Yeah.
Where most people claim that they don't get any sort of results. So it is significant.
It's huge. Let's take this call. Hey, man, you're on the air. Who's this and where are you calling from?
Hey, guys. This is Brian from Los Angeles. How are you both?
Brian from Los Angeles. How are you, man?
Hello,
Long
Brian.
time.
I'm good. It's been a while.
You're the guy that was doing some guerrilla marketing for us years ago, right?
Oh, yeah, many times.
Yeah. Dude,
no, I love you guys, and go ahead.
Yeah, no, that was amazing. This guy was putting out. You're still in the sticker business?
Oh wait, no, sorry, no, that's not me. I thought you were referring to something else.
Oh no.
I'm the guy who's called in because I've been continuously thrilled with my scalp micropigmentation, my trichopigmentation results, and that for me was the one thing that kind of made me just put this part of my life behind me and just live a normal life.
Well, that's great, man. That's really great. So what's happening?
So the reason for my call today is a little bit different. So, because I've been able to move on and things are just like, I have a sense of normalcy since this happened to me, a few years ago. I've been dating this girl recently, and then just recently she asked me like, hey, what's up with the scar on your head? And, I was like, look, I'm going to be completely honest. When most people ask me about this, I just lie to them. I'm not going to lie to you because I like you and we're dating. But this was from a time in my life that it's extremely difficult. It's a tough subject for me to talk about. I will tell you one day, but let's just table it for right now. And we're dating, things are good, and I'm gonna have to tell her like eventually. And so I guess the reason for the call is, I started this process, the hair loss process, at 18. I didn't come to terms with it until age 30 when scalp micropigmentation come out. And there's a lot of crazy emotions like we all go through, us hair loss sufferers go through during this process. I know both of you on the phone have felt it. And it seems like a really difficult thing to actually explain to somebody. Like, how do you explain to somebody who's never lost a hair on their head that you went through just an unbelievable years of anxiety and depression, and that for a while it was just like all you could think about, and it just kind of took over your life in many of our cases, because at least that's what happened to me. And I need to explain this in a way that's just not so off-putting, and try and get her to see it from, my point of view. Because I imagine from your average outsider, it's quote unquote, it's just hair, and that's the end of it. Get over it, kind of thing.
Ryan, you just explained to yourself how to explain it to her.
Yeah, it's perfect.
Like, there's nothing else to be said. That's it. Explain how it affected you. It was a big deal. You made some decisions, and that's the result.
Yeah, okay, that's fair, but I could just see it, being off-putting. Like, have you guys, you guys work in the industry, so it's probably a conversation you couldn't easily avoid. But she's just like, you've left out, you haven't talked about what happened to you between your 18 and 30, and you said it was really sad, and it's kind of a big chunk of your life to leave out. I want to know about it, but just like, we went through some pretty crazy emotions.
Well, let me ask. So how long have you been dating her?
Not long. It's just been a few weeks, but
and she's obviously attracted to you. She doesn't know what the fuck's going on, right? She looks at your head and she doesn't realize what it is.
Yeah.
So, the reality is, she's not going to give a shit. She really isn't. She's attracted to you. You've solved your issue. She had no clue that you basically have a tattoo in your head, and she wouldn't care because it looks good. So I think it's something that's, this is going to really give you an idea of the type of person she is, for sure. And I would say it's probably an easier conversation than to say that you're wearing hair, because the trichopigmentation or the SMP seems to be more socially acceptable at this point. So just let her know, man. Just tell her what you went through, and that you can even tell her about the show. There's a whole show about this shit. This is like a silent epidemic. You're not the only one. So if you maybe introduced her to the program, she'll be like, "Holy shit, I had no idea."
Okay. All right. That's I've sort of prepped her for it. I was like, look, I'm going to tell you one day, and just like, you need to come in with a really open mind. You wouldn't think that what I've gone through is that big of a deal, but just try to put yourself in my shoes and ask yourself, if this happened to me, how would I react? And of course, I think if that happened to a woman at age 18, like, all hell breaks loose. So
sure,
if she's able to do that, that's great.
It does. I would like to interject with an idea that moving forward, like when you do decide to sit down and talk to her about it, maybe try not to build it up so much, because when you build it up, like this, with this big, how can I put it? This big drawn out warning that's a pretty big deal, then it puts false expectations in her mind about what's happening and what it really means. So once you finally tell her, it may seem to her like it's a bigger deal than it should be overall. Like, it's obviously, it bothers you to the point where, you've gone through these procedures and, it's an issue for you. But when you build things up like that beforehand, it may make her think that it should be a big deal to her, right? Because she's not used to dealing with this. Like, she most likely hasn't been in this situation before. So when you're prepping it like that, it puts the idea in her head that maybe it should be a big deal once you tell her. Does that make sense?
Yeah, no, it absolutely does.
Yeah.
I may have started down that path already, unfortunately, but in that case,
Well,
it might just be better to tell it sooner rather than later.
Well, and the thing is I think that if you kind of put it into almost like a nonchalant manner, oh, well, yeah, sorry, you want to know about what's going on in my scalp? Yeah, I had this issue and this issue, and, here it is. It is what it is. You kind of have more of an attitude like that as opposed to a therapy session with her, which some guys do. I think that maybe it would be easier for her to digest because women feed off that, and not always in a good way. And I'm getting some sticky areas here, but when you build it up like that, then they might take it like that.
As you're saying,
In other words, be direct. In other words, be direct.
How much detail do you think I should get into? Like, do I need to go
Only
through
as
and
much
describe
detail.
what it was?
Only as much detail as she asks about. So, and this will help you to gauge.
If I give little detail, if I feel like if I give little detail, it doesn't add up to her. Like, okay, like you gave me this information, but really that caused you so much suffering for 12 years, and your life was kind of screwed up for 12 years because of that. Like, I feel without going into detail, I'm not justifying that action.
Well, here's the thing: let her ask, and then you deliver. Okay, when you start throwing when you start spilling your guts up front, that's when it might be taken more seriously than it should be. So once she starts asking questions, that's when you fill in the blanks for her. Like if she says that's it, that's all it was, then that's a good sign, because it's not a big deal to her. So then you can explain why it was a big deal to you at the time. Don't make her think it's a big deal to you now, like it was back then. Right. Because women don't like guys with hang-ups. So keep it that way. Keep it like a need to know only basis. Like if she's asking, then you can tell her. But don't start volunteering all this information.
Okay.
Wait till you get to know her. Wait till you're married. Where you can really share stuff with her.
Okay. Yeah, so
right?
We're pretty early on. I'm just talking a handful of weeks. So.
That's the thing, dude. It's like you're just starting off in your relationship. Don't spill your guts. Don't be premature on that. Like if you want to tell her by all means. I encourage it, actually. I think more people should be open about it. Don't be ashamed of it. Just tell her. And if she doesn't think it's a big deal, you'll know immediately. You will know immediately.
Yeah.
And if she's curious about it, she might just be curious about it. I have been in so many situations, and I'm talking about before I got into this industry. When I was a repair patient, when I was stock boy, STALK, stock, with 300 mini grafts sticking straight up with 10 to 12 hairs each, and nothing behind it or in between it, I would get the question. And this is back in the 90s.
People you were dating. Or just from people in general.
Sometimes like some long-term relationships I was in, question never came up, ever. I was always paranoid about it coming up, but the issue would come up more often with just like coworkers and colleagues and friends. And I did try to play it down, but when I think about it now, looking back, it's like I was definitely overcompensating. I was so overcompensating. Like taking someone by the arm to go into a different room to talk about it. No, that was the wrong way. Wrong way for me to do it.
I feel like I need to do, but you're suggesting that's not the way to go.
No, it wasn't for me. Like that's my experience was the more or the less emphasis I put on how it affected me, then the less it affected them. They're like, oh, okay, wow, I didn't know they could do that. That was actually the most common response I'd get once they realized what I was talking about. Once they realized that it wasn't a transplant of hair from one person to another, which used to be the most common assumption I'd hear about. Once they got past that, then they'd be like, wow, I didn't even know that was possible.
Got it.
Legit. Like that was it. And then sometimes the questions, funny enough, the people that were also losing their hair, those are the ones that would start digging deep into what it's all about. But aside from that, not really. So,
dude, I lead with it. I'm like, look, don't touch the hair. I got a ton of hairspray. There's makeup happening. And no, honestly. And,
by the way, my name's Spencer.
Yeah. Yeah. I don't have the largest junk in the world, but it's beautiful. And, you know,
manicured.
I go into all the details, get it out of the way, and look for the reaction. And that's it. That's how I live my life.
All right, I like it. I'm glad I spoke to you guys first.
All right, man. Listen, good luck to you. Let us know what happens.
Yeah.
Thank you so much.
Yeah, let us know what happens.
You know, videotape the fucking thing.
Yeah, turn your video recorder on your phone.
Record it. We'll play it on the fucking show. Like if it goes really badly, that's great content.
That's great content. Good video. Good video.
All right, dude. Listen, good luck. All right.
Oh man, something I never want to watch that. But,
all right, man. You take care.
all right, guys. Well, thank you so much. I'll consider it.
Yeah,
I'll talk to you soon.
You got it. Okay, take care. Maybe something you can look fondly back on and have a record of it.
That's hilarious.
All right.
All right, man. You take care.
Maybe one day.
All right. Bye-bye.
Ciao.
Yeah, he definitely built it up like it's a major thing in his life, and it is. You know, you got to just rip that fucking Band-Aid off, motherfucker. That's it. You got to go. If you're going to say something, if it's on your mind to say something, you need to get it off your chest, you just fucking do it.
And here's the thing. His girlfriend has not forgotten about this.
Oh, no, she's talking. Like, all of her girls. See, this is the problem. All of her girlfriends know about it already because you made it such a fucking big deal.
Yeah. And now, when he tells her,
everyone's going to be looking at your fucking head.
Fucking, it'll be on 6 o'clock news.
Everyone is looking at your fucking head now. Yeah. However, people are going to be amazed, especially if she has no clue. People are going to be like, really? That's fucking awesome.
Yeah.
You know?
So true,
it's like people are like, you paint your fucking head? I'm like, yeah, man, check it out. Check it out. People can't even see it. I mean, sometimes I fucked up. I really have. But it's unusual.
We still talking about hair?
Oh, damn. All right. Boom.
Boom.
You want to take one more call?
Sure.
All right. Hey, you're on the air. Who's this, and where are you calling from?
Hey, what's up, gentlemen? It's Antonio from D.C.
Antonio, what's happening, man?
What's up, man?
It's all good, man. It's all good. I just got out of work, and now I subscribe to you guys, and I put the notification bell, so I'm able to be notified when you guys are live. It's good.
That's how to do it.
Right on. We appreciate it. Tell everyone to do that.
That's how it's done, my man.
Yeah, do that. Click on the bell, man. You guys will appreciate it, especially now that they do one. You do it once a week now, right? Fridays.
Yeah.
That is correct.
Yep. Every Friday.
You definitely don't want to miss it.
What's that?
You definitely don't want to miss it.
Yeah, you guys definitely don't want to miss it.
So what can we do for you, man?
So basically, I just want to kind of want to hear like the truth. I want to hear like what's the best outcome that can happen on my case, and what's the worst thing that can happen on my case. So I had already a hair transplant when I was 23. It was about 800 grafts, and it was on my hairline. So basically, I know that Joe also got a hair transplant when he was younger, and basically, I see like, let's say, other people on YouTube. I know I shouldn't be doing this, but the way they do it is like they get hair transplants every now and then, and they're basically devoting their lives to keeping their hair. I'm wondering if that's going to be me. So yeah, Joe.
Who are you talking to here? 10 hair transplants. Come on.
I'm trying to get your opinion, man. Like, what is the best approach? If that's going to be me, what is the best approach that I can take, considering that I do believe myself that I'm going to lose most of my hair, to be honest with you. Like not with 6 or 7 at least.
Right.
What can I do, Joe? What's the best approach?
Well, realistically, the best approach is the one that you feel the most comfortable with. Now, with the obvious out of the way, my opinion is that you should do everything you can to not be that guy. The guy that's chasing his hair loss because he's seeing a little bit of weakness. The guy that's chasing his hair loss with yet another hair transplant because he can't face the issue of appearing he's had any hair loss. My case, like, you know, you look at me, it's like, who the hell are you to talk? I'm, you know, biggest hypocrite in the world. You've had 10. That's true. But mine started for the wrong reasons, because a doctor told me when I was age of 22 that I wasn't going to lose any more hair, that I was a great candidate, and if I did lose any more hair, it wouldn't be until I'm 50. Hello, here we are at 50. And then the only reason why I went back was because I had to get that repaired, and that was 9 years later. During that stretch in between, I resisted hair transplants like the plague because I knew that they were the worst thing that man had ever created. That was my opinion. Had I known, you know, full fairness here, had I known at the time that they were getting better, I would have considered it earlier, but I'm glad I waited. And that's the ultimate message. Wait as long as you can between your last surgery and your next surgery. And in between those times, do everything you can to keep what you've got. Medication, non-medical therapies such as PRP or exosomes if it manifests into being a viable treatment. Lasers, for crying out loud. Dutasteride, finasteride, minoxidil, eating better, you know, you name it. Everything you can except surgery until you absolutely have to.
Okay. But after you got your hair transplant and, you know, it looked like obviously really bad, you felt like people were staring at you. You basically
they were staring at me.
Life for somebody.
I lived my life for 9 years that way. Like, so the specific details of my case, I keep forgetting. I think I was 22 years old. Wow. Went to a doctor's office. Wasn't even looking to get a hair transplant myself. I was strictly there as moral support for my best friend. Doctor was talking to my best friend. Yada, yada, yada. We can do this, this, and this. And they looked at me and said, and we can help you too. I was like, what do you mean you can help me too? Well, you're losing your hair. No, I'm not. Yes, you are. Shit, maybe I am. Yeah, I actually am. And on the spot, I was like, within 30 minutes, I'd signed the papers, ready to go. Not that day. We had to come back. And it was God, man, I didn't even think about this. It was such a show that they put on, because I mentioned this before. They actually had images, picture frames on the wall of celebrities. Now this was in Tennessee, so it was country music celebrities, and the claim, just by having them on the wall, was that the doctor did their surgeries.
Yeah.
And I actually asked about them. Hey, look, it's so-and-so. Wow. Oh, look, so-and-so. Did you do them? They never quite answered. So I don't know if they did or not. But one thing I didn't actually think to ask was, why are they still wearing their cowboy hats? Huh? Anyway, that was a little side note. But the point being was, you know, I didn't need to do that to begin with. And had I known then what I know now, I never would have had a hair transplant ever. But conversely, if I had the opportunity to go back and change it, I wouldn't change anything. Even that 9 years in between, the second surgery, which was the same year, ended the same year, to add density. And the reason why I had the second surgery was I said to the doctor, I'm like, this isn't thick enough. I'm not happy with this. It was still behind my natural hairline, so I still had some native hair in front of it. What I didn't realize is that the work also was really unnatural. So as that receded into the work, as I got older, which was like a year later, it started to recede into it. That's when people started to look. Like I noticed, I've always been a person to look people in the eye when I speak to them. Yeah. And that kind of forces them to do the same, or that's a different discussion, but they usually will look, they'll usually look off to the side if they're not comfortable with you looking them in the eye. But if they are the kind of person that has no problem looking at you in the eye, they won't look you in the eye still, because they'll be looking at your hairline. I dealt with that for 9 years. And it was the most traumatizing aspect of my result when I would meet new people. Because I knew that when I was speaking to them and they were looking at my hairline, that they knew. Maybe not that I had a hair transplant, but that something wasn't right.
Something wasn't natural.
And that was devastating to me. It was devastating. But I sucked it up. And I lived with it for 9 years, and it was actually worth it, because it did two things. Number one, it made me wait until fate brought me back into the search, and technology had advanced to the point where finally it was natural, and I found the best doctor for me, Dr. Wong. But the other reason why it was great for me to wait was it was a real character builder. Like, if you can deal with that shit, you can deal with anything.
No, yeah, you're right.
That's the honest truth, the way I look at it. Like, I have no problem standing, like, I can get on stage and talk to 500 people and not bat an eye, because I've dealt with things that were more nerve-wracking daily.
God
So-
damn, yeah.
So there you go.
You're talking to a survivor.
Wait, Joe, what changed all of that? What made you feel better? So what finally, after 9 years, you went for, like, I guess, a repair work? Did that, like, solve the problem? It gave you a more natural look?
Dude, oh my God. I knew before the surgery was over with. Why do you think where do you think the photos of my first blog entries before blogging was even a word even came from? It was my happy ass in the middle of surgery. I got up to go take a piss during surgery. And I went to the bathroom, and I got my first look at what was going on. And my exact words were, "Holy shit!" And from that moment forward, for the rest of the surgery, I was like, it was like I was hopped up on coke or something. I was like so excited. And then I got in the car. I drove home. It was normally a 3-hour drive, but there happened to be a blizzard going on. You can see some of my earliest photos. There's like, you can see out the window behind me, there's like a foot of snow, and it was still snowing. I drove home 6 hours because it took so much longer through a blizzard to get home. And I was still I was so energized, and I was showing it off to everyone. And the first day I got back to work, when this technology company I used to work at, I walked in, I had the hat on that the clinic gave me, and I was going to hide it. And then I sat down at my desk, and I thought to myself, this isn't going to work. I can't just wear a hat.
Right.
So I took my hat off, and I never put that motherfucker back on. This was, I think, like 3 days after surgery, because surgery was on a Friday. I was back at work on a Monday. And yes, you can go back to work, but don't expect to look normal. I had staples in the back of my scalp. The top of my head was shaved. I looked like a car wreck. And I gave 0 fucks. I took off that hat, and it was the most liberating thing I'd ever done. Coworkers came up to me, and they're like, so Joe, what's going on here? What happened? And I was like, I got a hair transplant. And one of my coworkers, he's still a friend of mine today. He said, "Oh, thank God, we were betting on what was going on, like why you're gone and what was going on." And I lost $50. Fuck you.
He was scaring little kids on the street. He didn't give a shit. He was walking around with those staples, proud, happy with his decision.
I was. Second surgery, with second repair surgery, I left the tech sector. I'd gotten into the mortgage business, and I had interviewed with a new company the week before my second surgery, then went and got my second surgery, shaved my head 2 days after surgery myself with my beard trimmer. I shaved my entire head, still had the staples in my head. So the staples were visible. My head looked like I'd been in a car accident. And I went in for my first day at work, and I walked in, no hat, no nothing. And my new boss looked at me. He goes, "Hey, Joe, good to see you. Oh, are you okay? What happened?" I was like, "Oh, I got a hair transplant last week." He's like, "Okay, good for you. Let me show you your office." It's just like done. 6 months later, I was out with this chick that I worked with in the office, and she had a few drinks, and she was getting a little tipsy, and she goes, "I gotta ask you something." Like, "What's that?" She goes, "Did you have brain surgery or something?" and you know what I said to her? I looked her straight in the eye, and I said,
"Yes, I did.
Yes, I did." And we were together for 3 weeks. No, but yeah, man, I owned it. And I credit the suffering that I went through for being able to deal with it.
That's true. That's true,
really
man.
do.
I think the bottom line is that, you definitely gotta own it. Whatever you do, you just gotta own it. Whatever it is.
That's it, man. Whatever it is, I paint my fucking head. I own that shit.
Exactly. That's what I do too every morning, man. Wait, Joe, did you need that second surgery though, or was it something that you just wanted to get? Would you say that you actually needed it?
Oh, wait a second. It's the Joe Show. Hold on. Go ahead.
Joe Tillman's The Bald Truth with Spencer Kobren. I didn't. I needed the first one. I didn't need the second one. The second one was because the first one showed me that it was that it can be good instead of bad, and yeah, I mean, I didn't. I was happy. Like go to my website hairtransplantmentor.com, and you can see my 7 and 9 month result. Man, it would stand on its own today. Just that one shot. My crown was still bald, but it was natural. It was a natural pattern and progression. And the second one was a thank you from Dr. Wong, because in that first year, I had basically increased the exposure of the clinic about 1,000%.
Okay.
Or first year. I was the first person blogging about this. This is when I started getting people from Japan, from Brazil, Colombia, Russia, emailing me on my little 10 megabyte Yahoo website that I built because of the free web space they give you with a free Yahoo email address back then. And yeah, I mean, I was sold. And this was kind of like a thank you gift from Dr. Wong. It's like, let's do the back. I was like, okay.
That's really nice, actually.
Oh,
sorry
my God.
to
Yeah,
you guys.
great.
I know you guys have to go like soon. So like, Joe, this is the very last thing.
So Joe.
Sorry, Spencer.
Oh, the Joe Show is now on Sundays. No.
Spencer,
What's that?
Spencer, you look good, Spencer. Like, to be honest with you, I don't even see hair loss in you. Like, I gotta be honest with you. Like, you look good. You said that you paint your head, but I just see no hair loss there.
Look, you can't, dude. Stop trying to kiss my ass now. It's a Joe Show. No, I appreciate that, man. I really do. Thank you so much.
And let me just interrupt because Rob Hellner in the chat room.
Oh yeah.
I had to ask him and everyone else, not him, but I had to ask everyone to stop dropping F-bombs in the chat room. But he's saying F-bombs, because we're dropping F-bombs on the show. Rob, it doesn't fucking matter what we say. YouTube doesn't like it when you do F-bombs in the chat room. That's why I'm saying that, because every time you drop an F-bomb in the chat room, if you want your comment to be seen, I have to see it and I have to click OK to approve it. So I'm saying no F-bombs in the chat room because I don't have time to deal with your chats that aren't getting through. That's for you, not for me. So if you don't want your chats to get through, drop as many F-bombs as you want. No one's going to see them. Good day. Anyway, so yeah, where were we?
I didn't want to cut you guys off. I just want to say all the things I want to say before you guys have to go. I know it's late. So Joe, I feel just like you did for those 9 years right now. Like every time I get up for work, I have to like literally I use the concealer on my hairline because if I don't, people stare at it. It doesn't look natural. It doesn't look thick. It doesn't look how do you call it? It doesn't look dense. It looks fake. It looks like it's receding, but in a weird pattern. So I feel like that for those 9 years, and I just want to know what's my next step.
I really don't know. I mean, you have to make the decision how far you want to go. Like, do you want to get a surgery to address the issues that you're dealing with? Are you sick and tired? Like, do you cringe at the thought of using concealer?
I think at one point it's just gonna be way too noticeable because I'm gonna keep on receding, and I just don't know what I get from your story is that I should wait as long as I can because I never know what next procedures they will have in the future. That's what I get from your story. And also like you said, like your first surgery basically fixed your problem, and then the next ones after that were basically like gifts or enhancements that you felt like doing them, which is totally fine in my opinion. So that's how I feel that I should probably wait as much as I can. Deal with this. It is building character. I gotta be honest with you. Everything you said makes total sense to me. I don't know. Maybe Spencer knows something or an advice that he can provide me with.
Well, my advice is to hold off of having anything done for as long as possible. And I don't know if you said this because I was actually I was reading somebody's email, but
I was reading Love and War.
I was looking at porn while you guys were talking. Did you ever try to shave your head?
Yeah, it doesn't look good, Spence. It just I wouldn't look good with it. I already tried it.
Yeah. Okay. Well, I'm glad that you tried it because that's really important. I mean, because I started losing my hair in the 80s, it wasn't even a possibility to try it. However, did you say that you're on medication?
Yeah, ProScar 5 milligram, a quarter of a tablet every other day.
All right, and how long have you been on it?
About 4 to 5 months.
Okay.
5 months actually.
And do you see any benefits yet?
Yeah, I definitely see that my hair is not falling out as much.
Okay. Well, if you were able to keep what you have right now for the rest of your life and dummy it up with a little makeup, would you be happy?
To be honest with you, probably not.
Okay.
I would like to look. I wouldn't like to have to wear concealer that makes my hair too dark because it's basically like a shadow. You've seen my pictures, Joe. You've seen how my hairline looks.
Yeah.
Basically, it looks like a helmet, and that just doesn't look natural.
Oh, wait a second. Is this the guy? And I'm sorry, I'm a little fucked up today. Is this the guy that you had a surgery and then you had some tattooing?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. So yeah, I mean, you definitely made a lot of moves that unfortunately, like you said, I mean, it definitely does build character, but you're kind of like stuck now in a box, and you have to kind of figure your way out of it. And weren't you, if I remember correctly, you're having some of the tattoo removed?
So the tattoos are not really the problem. Like I'm working on it, and I'm about to get the, especially my sides, on my temple area. Those I'm trying to get those treated by the end of next summer.
Okay.
I want to have them removed.
Well, I think that once you are at a set point where you're back to the point where you're kind of like, you're having this removed, you kind of see where you are, you're on Propecia for more than a year, you might get a tremendous amount of growth. You just don't know. So you may be in a position where you are comfortable enough not to have surgery or another surgery. So
yeah. For my picture, Joe, you saw it last time I called last week. Like I feel like that's what I would be happy with if that was actual hair. But I definitely see your point.
Yeah, but that's talking about lowering your hairline, because that's lower than your actual hair. Whoever did your S&P, they went outside the border, and so it's your S&P is in front of your actual hairline. So now you're talking about lowering your hairline and bringing it forward. Not a good idea.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, I'm gonna definitely have to keep in touch with Dr. Cooley, but I think definitely waiting, and definitely I just want to tell this to the guys in the chat. Don't focus on the little things, because that's what drove me into getting a hair transplant in the first place. I was focused on like, I'm losing a little bit of hair, and like my hairline doesn't look good. My hairline doesn't look manly. My man has to have like a strong hairline, be able to comb his hair back and just get out of his house. But that was just me, and that's what drove me to a hairline. So that's the only thing I gotta say to guys that are focused on that right now. Just wait as long as you can.
Well, I think that's what I think that's obviously that's great advice. And every time I speak to you, I'm really sorry that you had to go through and continue to go through what you're going through. But there might be light at the end of the tunnel for you. I think that there can be. And right now it's unfortunately you really have to be extra cautious. Take your time. And try to get back to some sort of baseline before you make a decision on moving forward.
Okay.
All right, man?
Sounds good, guys.
All right, good luck to you. Thanks for the call.
Joe.
Bye-bye.
All right, thanks, buddy. Bye.
Take care. Thanks, Joe.
No worries, man. How's this news? How's your nap?
I wish I was napping. This guy's been holding on for a long time. You want to take one quick call or make it like less than 5 minutes?
Quick call.
Okay, we're going to take this quick. Hey, man, you're on the air. This is the last call of the night. Who's this? Where are you calling from?
That was the longest call in history. No, it's Graham from Melbourne, Australia. How are you, guys?
Graham, what's happening, man? I think it was the second longest.
I know it's been a long time since I've called in, but like your videos, Joe, I've got nothing to say. But which is interesting because I've been watching a lot of the other guys on YouTube, a lot of the people have just went out and got hair transplants, and I don't want to name and shame anyone, but
go ahead.
Pardon? Do you want me to say it? Well, everyone knows that in this room.
You say what you're comfortable with. Don't worry about. I mean, like if you're comfortable with it, then fine, go for it. It doesn't matter.
Yeah, no. Look, they like you guys say. Matt and Hairlicious they seem like really good guys, and they are good guys by the sound of it. I say it's the hair loss business. You see there's a way to make money, you can. But the thing is, these people are making the younger generation paranoid to lose hair. That's what it seems like to me. Like the Hairlicious guy, he's got his hair done again. Mate, he is the best hair I've ever seen in my life. If I had his hair when I was 15 years old, I'd be wrapped. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Well, no, I know what you mean, but I'll tell you, and sorry to interrupt, but I'll tell you why he's doing this. He's one of those people, and you can this isn't a slight against him at all. It's just my observation is that he's one of those kinds of people that is following the bro science market, I guess. The bro science trend which has been going on for 30 years. He's one of these people that thinks that the cure is right around the corner, that there are ways to do these things yourself at home, which he's talked about, like PRP at home, things like this, to save money and to treat your own hair loss. In other words, he had naturally really good hair. He just had a little bit of a high hairline, but he falls in the category of people that are maybe a little too again, who's talking here, 10 surgeries, but he's looking to fix things that don't need to be fixed. And I think that he doesn't represent the typical guy. And what you said is, I can see what you're saying, where they're telling guys to be more concerned about the hair loss, but they're not the only guys out there. And there's actually another YouTuber that's up and coming. His channel is growing faster than anyone's I've seen in this space. About 3 months ago, maybe 6 months ago, he had half as many subscribers as I do. Now he's got 50% more than I do. It's Bald Cafe. And this guy is trying to tell people to embrace their hair loss by just shaving their head. And I got to tell you, fucking hats off to this guy. He is crushing it. He is uploading often. He's not selling anything. I think he might be endorsing like head shavers and stuff. I'm all for it. In fact, he and I might be collaborating on something. I really appreciate that he's out there talking about the other side of this issue. So he's not out there pushing false information about what works, what doesn't. He's not out there pushing false information about bro science and what you can do at home to fight your hair loss. That's such horseshit. This guy is legit based on everything I've seen. And so, yeah, it's not all encouraging younger people to fight their hair loss. He's embracing them he's engaging them to embrace their hair loss, and it's super healthy.
Yeah, I shaved my head yesterday. I buzz cut it to a number 2. Just I keep it short. I'm not scared to go back to the scalp or do that. I'm not that person that goes, geez, that little bit of growth or whatever. The growth's always going to be there, And I want to try and tell this to people, and I think these people who don't shave their head when they're losing it and shave your head, you might think in your head it doesn't look good. But go to your friends, be out there, be honest, and speak to your friends. And you know what? A lot of people will say it does look good, and a lot of people will say you look better. But you might think, and it's the hardest hurdle to get over, I hate having no hair, but still not one person says a negative thing towards me when my hair's short. So that's
because they're afraid you're going to kick their ass.
Pardon?
They're afraid you're going to kick their ass if they do.
Yeah. So I don't know, the line's a bit breaky here today, unfortunately. I'll listen back on YouTube. And just another thing, Spence, for you.
Sure.
The legal drinking age, you know where I'm going to go with this, is 21 in America.
Yes.
Why can't they lift the age of a hair loss to, say, 30? Because with you guys, the experience, if you're going to do it, you don't want to be doing it before you're 30 years old if you're going to go down that track. I know it's going to put everyone out of business and you're really going to be hated, but is that a thing that's ever crossed the minds of you guys or anything like that?
It's something that I've talked about for forever. I actually will tell people, and Joe disagrees with this, that if you can wait till you're 35 before you make that choice, then you're really a fully formed man by then. And you may not even want a hair transplant by the time you're 35 years old. However, you know, and I'm also a guy that says, you know, don't even consider a hair transplant unless you're a Norwood 3 or above. I don't know if Joe agrees with that either, because I know what the real downside can be for guys who are like, you know, just moving past a Norwood 2 that may have a little bit of a, you know, a recessed hairline. Their looks have changed. They don't have the same facial framing, so they're really fucked up. But, you know, some of these guys will maintain that type of look for a very long time, even though in most cases it's progressive. But you also have a lot more to lose. And your expectations are much higher when you are at that point of your hair loss, because you remember what you looked like a couple of years prior with a completely youthful full head of hair. So psychologically, it could really fuck people up, especially if they end up dealing with major shock loss. So yeah, that's something I've suggested for years. There are some doctors who really will stick to kind of like the age requirement. They try not to work on people under 30, but now with FUE, the game has really changed, for sure.
Yeah.
And
well,
younger and younger
changed.
patients. Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, it's far more dangerous now today because of FUE, and the way I look at it is I think 30 is a reasonable cutoff age. And as far as like the Norwood 3 situation, I think that if you just got to Norwood 3, I apply Norwood 3 as the same as I would Norwood 5. If you haven't stabilized your loss for a year, then don't consider a hair transplant. You need to stabilize to the best of your ability, and really spend that time that you're stabilizing researching what the reality of what you're considering really means. And yeah, if you're still progressing, then I don't think it makes any sense. But you know, each case is unique. And I say that only because of so many cases I've seen in person. I mean, it's obvious, it's logical, but I think there are extenuating circumstances for a lot of cases that normally I wouldn't say should have a hair transplant. But in general, Norwood 3 onward is fine to me, as long as they have spent time trying to really fight the loss and stabilize it. And I think 30 is reasonable. And part of the reason why I say that is because I know that I actually think 25 35 is a better age. But I know that even when I used to tell 25-year-olds, 23-year-olds, you're way too young, don't do it, we're not even talking about it, or talking about the option, they're just going to go get a hair transplant someplace else. That's my experience from being a consultant.
Yeah.
And it's tough. Like, I'd love to tell everyone not to get a hair transplant. I mean, I have told them that, but like, I would love to be able to find a different industry to work in because no one's getting hair transplant surgery. That's the truth.
Yeah.
Like, if this could be shut down and made illegal, I would not be upset about it.
I can tell you this, that first of all, as far as what we do, there's going to be so much other shit that we're going to have to fucking try to police. That hair transplantation can go away tomorrow, and it would not affect my bottom line in any way, shape, or form. And as a matter of fact, it may actually give us the latitude to make a hell of a lot more money.
Yeah.
You know,
exactly.
That's the reality.
Yeah, it is. But
I always love that. I don't mean to interrupt you. These guys who are like, yeah, Kobren just, you know, he doesn't want these gray market products talked about because, you know, he's just concerned about, you know, his group of surgeons, and this is, you know, he's
or his check from Merck.
Yeah, Merck check, or, you know, all this bullshit. And I laugh. I'm like, Jesus, you guys, and you think about how much more money could be made. Say, okay, regenerative medicine is really what's happening around the corner. Started with PRP, now exosomes, all this stuff. Do you know how much crap people are going to be charging and shooting into your head that's going to be complete nonsense? Do you guys have any idea of the market share that this is going to take up? And really, you know, by kind of separating the good guys from the bad guys on that side of things, shit. A lot more money to be made there. A lot more.
You know, what's interesting is with surgery versus hair loss treatments, surgery offers a much more black and white option that's quantifiable, that is tangible. You can touch it, you can feel it, you know what's going on. And there's not the only ambiguity really is with the marketing.
Yes.
With hair loss treatments, the ambiguity is the marketing and the results.
Right.
You know? And so
it is no joke that when I say 99% of all products that claim to stop or prevent hair loss or treat hair loss don't work, it's probably like 99.9%.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. And it's amazing because as bad as hair transplant surgery can be, it's actually, in general, preventing the industry from being worse. As far as like the deception and the misleading false claims and all that. So, yeah, I mean, we're getting to some deep stuff here, but yeah, hell, what were we talking about? I forgot.
Jesus Christ, man! How old are you now?
Exactly.
Yeah, but listen,
we got Graham on the phone. Forgot.
Yeah. So that's the reality of this field. That's the reality of, I think Graham. If there was a way to make it illegal for someone to have elective surgery, would we be able to? Would we lobby for that? Maybe. Especially, it would probably be. They would have to absolutely be above the age of 21. That's probably as far as anyone would be able to go, but that's never going to happen. And sadly, there are guys, young guys, who need surgery, hair transplant surgery, for other issues. So, whether they're in accidents and shit like that. But yeah, I mean, in a perfect world, in my mind, it's 35. That's how I feel about it. I was not, and I'm still not. I'm still immature. I'm 54 years old. I was not mature enough to make a decision like that even in my 30s.
The one thing that annoys me, and I wish these other guys that have got big followers would actually push that message across, because they don't. They push the message across where to get a hair transplant or what to do, and to give advice on where to get one and consult. And I'm thinking to myself, well, your hair don't look that great. And that's not being cruel. I feel for people because, it could be any one of us. That's what annoys me. These people, I don't know, it's like they're deflecting their sort of mental illness with their hair loss to someone else. That's what it seems to me. They're not telling the truth like you guys are telling. You know what I mean? With what you've told us, Joe, so many times. You went through hell in the early days. It would have been torture. I could not imagine what you went through when you were a young guy, having people's eyes roll up towards your hairline.
To be fair, a lot of these guys don't know the truth. Is my screen locked up, Spencer? Oh, there it is.
No.
These guys don't know the truth. They only know what they know because they had one surgery, now two. And what they've learned, what they know now, they've been learning for the past couple of years while they've been on YouTube.
And also, I think you can be fair to a certain extent. I mean, there's, sometimes people go out there and they make mistakes, or they think that they're doing the right thing because of their own experiences, because they're just, they're basing everything on their experiences and some stuff they gleaned out from stuff happening online when they first started in this process. But there's no doubt that all of these guys have found this broadcast. All of these guys have listened to what we have to say. And they would have to be, if they're being intellectually honest, they would recognize that, well, you know what, maybe, this isn't the best guidance that we can give people. They're essentially sticking to their original message for the most part. And you're right, Graham. This is an easy industry to make money in. And now that people have the ability to become influencers, people have the ability to.
Well, Spencer, you know what I'm doing at home in the bedroom right now, don't you?
Laser cap.
Hello.
No, I've got all my bald mice, and I'm putting my topical finasteride, and you should see the hair growing all over them. I had to say it. I had to get that joke across.
Well, here's the realities. You know, I mean, when you see young guys out there who are on YouTube who've developed, you know, they're able to develop a connection with these younger guys because, listen, what we do doesn't necessarily fix people. That's the problem. We educate people, and we let them know that not all of you guys can be helped. And if you don't make the right candidate, or if you make the wrong decision, you're even more fucked. Younger guys especially, they don't want to hear that. They just want to be fixed. And so there's an alternative out there of people offering to fix them or show them, guide them in a way to get to be fixed, as opposed to putting out the entire scope and all the possible pitfalls of kind of entering this direction and getting involved in this field, or really trying to chase your hair loss. And, you know, people don't want to hear that. I've been saying that about people find the American, I mean, we're the most, the American Hair Loss Association is the most referenced hair loss resource in the world. In the world. Bar none. But what do people do? They find us, and we can't fix them. So they go to the ad, or they go to YouTube, and they go to where they believe they can get fixed, and then they come back to us after they've been ripped off or disfigured. That's just that's human nature. It's unfortunate.
Yeah, one thing I do know about this industry, it'll be exactly the same in 20 years' time, 30 years' time, 40 years' time. I don't think there's going to be that miracle cure. The best cure that I've seen, and as you guys have said, is finasteride. 100%. If it works for you, you are on a winner, but that's about the best thing that's proven to this day that I know. But
I believe that there will be more effective treatments and combinations of treatments that are coming down the pike. I absolutely believe that. But will this end? It's only going to end by accident. Yeah, that's how it's going to end. It's going to end. People are going to find, just kind of like they're been able to kind of effectively treat alopecia areata using JAK inhibitors. Like arthritis drugs and shit like that. That was essentially just, luck. And it seems to be working. Now, there's some significant adverse side effects, but there are people who are, obviously, when you're in that situation, who are willing to take those risks. And the results are miraculous. People are growing all of their hair back. It's fucking wild, But when it comes to male pattern hair loss and female pattern hair loss, it will be an accident. And there's going to be some things, like they are experimenting now with exosomes, and obviously PRP helps, and there are people who are getting some really good results with exosomes right now. But the biggest problem that's going to, I think, plague the industry, that there's only going to be
ripping off people.
Yeah, there's going to be a handful of guys who are getting it from the right manufacturer. People are essentially going to just they're looking at their bottom line. It's very possible, especially when you're getting something that's created in a lab, that you could have a bad batch. People could be harmed. There's a lot of shit that can happen, So things are just, even as things evolve and get better, things are still going to become more dangerous for the consumer. I think that's a message that consumers really have to understand. When I see plastic surgeons and cosmetic surgeons talking about PRP for hair loss, and I see their Facebook feeds or their Instagram feeds, and the way that they're explaining it, like, it's a walk in the park and we just use your own blood, and half of these guys don't even know what they're injecting into your scalp. I mean, yes, at least with PRP, it's coming from your own body. So the worst case scenario is you're just getting ripped off. These guys aren't counting platelets. They don't really understand what the growth factors are. They're just buying kits that some are FDA cleared, some are not FDA cleared, some are open, some are closed systems. They don't even know what they're doing. They're just going to the manufacturer, going to essentially like a conference or like a trade show in a sense, and buying somebody's product and saying, and they're like, well, this is a great way to make ancillary income. You can charge $1,500 per PRP treatment. You can do, 10 a day. They don't give a shit about the results. They don't even understand what the results are. They're like, oh, I guess they didn't work for this guy.
Yeah.
So anyway, that's the reality. We're going to close up shop, Graham. I know that we have.
Understand?
Go ahead.
Have a Merry Christmas. I know it's a little bit early, but I probably won't call in before then. But I'll keep listening to the show because I don't have any news.
Thanks, man. Have a very happy Hanukkah, Graham. I know you're not Jewish.
Yeah.
No news.
I want to keep. Yeah, that's exactly right. I want to keep the calls open for people who really need to get through and
Too late.
really want to talk.
Too late.
To you guys.
No more calls.
We got calls on the line, but we're not going to take any.
And we're done.
We're beat. All right, Graham.
All right,
listen,
well,
always great hearing from you, man. And I enjoy watching some of your guitar playing on Instagram.
Oh, cool, man. Mate, I'm a bit disappointed. You're originally from New York, aren't you?
I am, yeah.
Paul Stanley let me down, mate. I had 3 tickets to Kiss in Melbourne.
Oh,
shit. The whole Australian tour.
Maybe he's sick.
Uh-oh.
Are they?
Who knows?
I don't want to comment on that.
All right, man. Well, you take care. Thanks for the call.
All right.
Thank you very much, guys.
All
You
right.
have a great weekend.
Take care.
Take care.
That is Graham is he from Melbourne or Sydney?
Australia. That's all I know.
Okay.
Melbourne. I think Melbourne.
Yeah, well, he is from Australia. We got a call from
Sorry,
Germany today.
Melbourne.
We got a call from Germany today and a call from Australia. Fucking killing it.
Crushing it, man.
All right, dude, give out the websites.
The websites are supporters of our broadcast and the message that we push every single week. Starting off with hairlossexperiences.com. It is a UK-based forum where hair transplant clinics show their results, hair transplant patients share their experiences, and it's run by one of the hardest working people in the industry. When I say hardest working, I mean to help other repair patients. He is one himself, just like yours truly, and he knows the market and as far as how people can be helped, where to go to get helped, and he works very hard to help them with that. That is hairlossexperiences.com. Next up is bellycapelli.forumfree.it, the Italian hair loss and hair restoration forum, where clinics are also sharing results, patients sharing experiences, and the owner is also a repair patient like myself, a very old friend of mine, also passionately helping others find the help that they need. That's bellycapelli.forumfree.it. And finally, we've got international-hairlossforum.com, the French hair loss and hair restoration forum, hair transplant clinics sharing results, patient sharing experiences, and of course, they are also supporting this message. So check them all out.
Joe's personal website is hairtransplantmentor.com. Check out everything Joe Tillman and see his journey on that website, hairtransplantmentor.com. Also, you should subscribe to Joe's YouTube channel, which is youtube.com/hairtransplantmentor. Ring the bell so that you are notified when we go live or if Joe puts up any videos. And if you're watching this broadcast now, please like the video, like the show now. Thebaldtruth.com for archives of this broadcast. It's all set. We're actually going to be doing this. We will be putting up new episodes on Spotify and on iTunes, so don't forget to subscribe. And the American Hair Loss Association, AmericanHairLoss.org, the International Alliance of Hair Restoration Surgeons is IAHRS.org. Our message forum is baldtruthtalk.com. Until next time, be strong. God bless. Wow, my voice is cracked. And thank you so much for listening. Take care.
Good night.
Thank you very much. I'm sorry for any inconvenience you may have been put to prior to the program, and I'm glad you enjoyed it. And if you could now leave by the exits at the rear, that'd be splendid. Thank you.